Hey y'all, it's your girl Breezy, and you know I love to run my mouth. I'm back with another review. 1,000 pound roomies with our girls Niche and Jazz. So it's episode 3, and we are back and we're picking up right where we left off at dinner with the family. So I told y'all the last time Granny was getting on my nerves, and Granny continued to get on my nerves in the conversation, but then eventually she came around, and I was happy um to hear that she came around. But it really was still a little bit aggravating because it was kind of like, oh, if Granny had said no, then it was going to be no, I wasn't going to do the surgery. Excuse me, huh? Excuse me, huh? Girl, um, her mama was consoling her because she was crying. She was like, I really need y'all support. And the mom came up with, well, if you want to have the surgery, you can have the surgery. And it's kind of like, why we had to go about it that way? Like, she had to be crying and super distressed for y'all to actually support her. Like, come on. So Granny was like, yeah, they done made a lot of improvements on the surgery, so I guess it's okay for you to get it. And I was so glad that her grandma said, you grown, you make your own decisions. It's your life, you make your choice. Because it's like, girl, yes, you're grown. You're grown. Why are you letting that be the be all end all? Like, if my grandma had said, no, I'm not going to get the surgery, for real? Okay, Jazz. So then they're back at the house and they're talking about her daughter, who is 9, needing a bed. We found out that her daughter has autism and that I mean, granted, we don't see a lot of Nana because she's not the focus of the story. But when you see her, it probably in interactions with her a lot, you'd probably notice if she has some of those characteristics of being on the spectrum. But when you see her, she's a typical 9-year-old child. So as they're talking about, she want to get her daughter a bed or whatever, they do get into Niche and her man and that whole situation. And Niche basically saying like she don't want to be in a relationship, but Jazz is calling BS on that. And I kind of do too, because there's not any way that you've been with someone on and off for 20 years. You're giving them your body. Y'all are hanging out. That's who you call for comfort, etc. And then you don't want a relationship. What it kind of feels like and what you continue to get in the episode is because of how he acts when it comes to that conversation and getting into it, is that he doesn't want a relationship per se. And so Niche is going with that flow. And sometimes you do that. Like sometimes you, like she said, I love him enough to be with him or not be with him when he loves somebody else. But she said to allow him or, be okay with him loving somebody else. And it's probably just kind of like, um, you know, hey, we friends, we cool. She probably enjoyed the sex and, you know, it is just what it is. She's not going to stress it. Like, I'm not about to stress him. Like she was telling Jazz, like, I'm not asking no man to take me on a date. And I actually felt her on that. Like, we cool. You want to date me, etc. Like, ask me. Like, don't beat around the bush. Don't not ask. Don't just assume that it's all great. Like, if you want to pursue me, pursue me. I'm not going to be like, you should take me on a date. You should take me on a date. You should take me on a date. No. You want to take me on a date, you're going to ask me on a date. And if you don't ask me on a date, then we're not going on a date. And that's just what it's going to be. I don't know how they got into the conversation about the stripper name, but Jazz said her stripper name. Yeah, girl. Rotisserie like the chicken. Jazz. One day we're going to get away from that food, okay? Niche makes sea moss, and it don't turn out well. I don't know if she watched a YouTube video or tried to make it or what. Sea moss is good for you, but it does not taste good. That's why they have different flavors, mango, strawberry, etc. Which I don't know if those are like watered down versions of sea moss. But my suggestion was you just get some non-flavored and put it in a smoothie. That way you're getting the nutrients of it, the benefits of it, but you're not having to just taste it. Because some stuff that's healthy for you that you should have, we have to power through it, drink it or eat it. But if you can, in any capacity, mask it. Put it in something, mix it in something, do all the things. Because baby, no. Baby, no. Drinking straight sea moss, yes, it was gonna be nasty. And shout out to Jazz. She's now 570. When she gets a scale and she weighs in, she's 570, so she's lost 60 pounds. But now she's starting to say her body is hurting really bad, way worse than before. Her knee pain is extremely horrible, way worse than before. And immediately I kept wondering, well, what's going on? Like, what is happening? Something's missing. Like, Niche kept saying, like, throughout the whole thing, oh, ever since she's been taking these shots, and she's been deteriorating. Ever since she's been taking these shots, she's been deteriorating. But in my mind, it's like, yes, having pain is understandable. Your body is adjusting to it. So I could get that, but something was missing for me. And we got the answer to that. But before we did, they went to the park. So the baby want to go to the park. And when I say the baby, this is the 9-year-old. Children are babies, okay? Even when they're 13. I be like, the baby, okay? So the baby want to go to the park, and they go out to the park. It was a struggle, of course, getting out of the car for Jaz. It was a struggle, just being there. But I respect that she pushed through because, I've never been her size. I have been, real big and very heavy, but I could only imagine being her size, the pain of it all. Like your body is constantly having, you've been carrying 630 pounds for however long, and now you're 570. You still are carrying a lot of weight on you, and the body is going to most likely react from that. But again, something was missing for me. Something was missing. I was happy to see Jaz. They were doing hula hoop, and making joke. Nisha was like, babe, I needed a bigger hula hoop because this is the size of my body. It ain't gonna hoop at all, okay? Nisha's mom came out there to, help and support and talk. And Jaz was just like crying for a couple of reasons, because she was in pain, but also because she realized how her size has limited her from being able to live what we would consider a regular or a normal life with her daughter. Like, she's not able to just go in the park and walk with her daughter or play with her daughter. Like, when they did the hula hoops, I also, another shout out to her, because she did the hula hoop on her arm. She's sitting in the chair. She's the size she is. She definitely can't get that hula hoop around her body, but she used her arm to be a part of what was going on. She's crying and she's like, I've never had this much pain before. And um, in my mind, I'm like, how long has this pain been going on? Have you talked to your doctor? Because you're doing something very new. Your body's not used to it. You're taking new medications. You're eating differently. You're supposed to be working out. So all of these things could be a shock. It could be because you're doing extra movement, or there's something that's not happening. And eventually we find out there was something not happening. Before we find out what wasn't happening, they decided to go to the furniture store. Now, whose van was that in the first episode? Because I thought Nisha was driving a van at first. But she got this little bitty car. And maybe she lost her van. Maybe the van stopped working. She had to get this car. She got this little bitty car. And baby Jaz is complaining about the size of this car. Jaz has to put one of her legs in between the middle console in order to fit, in this small car. And she's like, girl, this smaller car, this is just too much. Jaz is a whole lot taller than Nisha, and she's bigger than her. So, getting in that little bitty back seat of that little bitty car, like, I don't know what kind of car it was, but imagine a Toyota Corolla. Okay. And y'all see from the thumbnail, Jaz's size. Jaz is the lighter skin, the bigger one, the larger one. So, baby, it wasn't coming together. But she struggled. She got in there. When they was talking, she was like, girl, your car's so little. And she's like, well, this is the car. And she's like, girl, this is the car. This is what we got. We getting on moving. We moving. And then Jaz was like, girl, I did what I needed to do. I came out here. I had to crawl to the car. She said, baby, you wasn't crawling. Oh, yes, baby, she was crawling. Nisha, I'm not sure what you, girl, I'm not sure what you were saying, but oh, baby girl, she was crawling. She's been doing nothing but crawling. Bent over where you on your hands and your feet, your feet on the ground, and you're bent over in your hand. You're crawling. She's been crawling since we met her. And I'm sure, in the time that y'all have known each other, she's been crawling. She was crawling. She wasn't being dramatic. And I think that just as a side note, those are the things that when you see yourself starting to get there, like you can't stand up for long periods of time, you can't walk far. I know we as fat people don't think about it, but that's when it's time for change. When you can't make it, when walking from your bed to your bathroom, you out of breath. Walking to your front door is a challenge. You got to sit down before you can get there. It's time to rethink it. That's for anybody watching. And also, I'm this big, but I ain't that big. We can always get there. Couple more sandwiches a week, couple more chip bags a week. It's not so far from reality for people, right? To be her size. So don't ever get that twisted. All right, so we get to this first. I'm laughing because I'm kind of with Jaz. Like, me personally, I go to the store, I'm walking around, right? But even me, I'm gonna go to a store and I'm gonna walk around. If I get into that store and that mug is a warehouse, I'm looking at whoever brought me here. Girl, I didn't come to work out. I came to shop. I didn't come to work out. I came to shop. And you done brought me to a furniture warehouse? So they went to the furniture store, and of course, Jaz has her wheelchair. That's how she has to get in there. The store manager was nice, and I guess I appreciate that they're getting the point of view from people who they've encountered. Like when she went to the water aerobics class, they talked to the instructor. They're going to this furniture store. They talked to the store manager, who expressed that he had never had a customer who had those limitations, because before they got there, Jaz was kind of like, girl, online shopping. Why are we going to the store? But in Nisha's mind, which I appreciate, and Nisha shows her support in certain ways. In some ways, I'd be upset with her because I'd be like, Nisha, girl, that is not supportive. We're going to talk about that. It's not supportive, But in other ways, she is giving her support because she's like, girl, we need to get out of the house. You need to be moving. Let's walk around. Let's go look at the furniture. Um, so they get to this furniture store, and Jaz is looking at the size of this furniture store, and Jaz like, oh, Miss Mamas, I'm not gonna make it. Oh, Miss Mamas, I can't do that. Do you see how big this store is? And even when the man had Niche walking around, Niche was like, baby, you're taking me into more store. Like, you keep taking me further and further. Like, I'm fat too. Okay. But so what they do is they have Jaz sit at the front of the store, and they have Niche walk around with the manager. And when they get to certain furniture that might be what what Jaz might be looking for her daughter, then she's on FaceTime. And so they did that. It ended up being a bust, but I think it was good to get out and have the experience. And again, it just speaks to the limitations of being that size, what it does for you. To not even be able to walk around that furniture store. Now she could have leaned on that wheelchair and walked around, but I think because at this time she's experiencing so much of that increased pain that she wasn't able to do that walk around even with the wheelchair. And here's why I was talking about niche support being kind of like, and I understand because overeating, being in love with food, using food as a crutch, using food just as your joy, your happiness, it's a hard habit to break. And so Niche goes out with her friend Bree, who's also a plus size girl. She's not as big as Jaz and Niche, but she's a fluffy girl. And they go out to eat. And Jaz was just expressing like potentially that there might be a little rift in um her friendship with Jaz just because of the things that Jaz is going through when it comes to this weight loss. And it's like she don't hardly eat and I cook all this food. Okay, girl, Niche, where my homegirl from I think she may be on TikTok. I don't even know the girl's name. She said, I'm gonna hold your hand with a napkin when I say this. She's not supposed to be eating that much. Like, you're, as her friend, going to have to also be supportive in the way that don't cook all of that food. Like, you know that she's trying to lose weight. There's supposed to be portion control. You're supposed to be on the journey with her. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna support you. We can eat the thing. I don't need the shot. I don't need the surgery. But you're kind of doing things that are counterproductive to being supportive of your friend in that area. Now, there, like I said, let's get out. Let's go to the furniture store. That's good support because she did need to get out. She does need to walk around. You need to get movement any way you can get movement. But at the same time, why are you cooking them big ass meals? It's not only going to help Jaz, but it's going to help you too if you are cutting down on what you're cooking. If you're cutting down on the portion control of it all, which, and then she was like, in the Black community, we show love with food. We need to stop that. And I know that it is with Black people, but I think that it's just people on a whole. Anytime we have celebrations, and I think, again, just people on a whole, Black people, white people, Spanish people, when we get together, we're having a graduation, funeral, a birthday party, somebody got out of jail. Food is one of the main things, what we eating when we get there. Okay? That has to stop being the focus. Because that being your focus and that being Jaz's focus is ended up us where we are. And it's, when I be talking to y'all and talking to Niche, talking to the other people who this might apply to, I'm talking to you as a fellow fat girl, okay? A fellow fat girl who is on a journey of the relationship you have with food. And so, yes, that is why we have a lot of Black people who are overweight and obese, because we do have such a connection to food in our community, unhealthy foods. And there's a whole other discussion about the unhealthy foods we eat, stemming from slavery and then stemming from Jim Crow and then stemming from us, being in poverty and all of those things. We're not going to have that discussion. The discussion now is we have to change that mindset. And I think that I don't know what they've discussed with Jaz, and I wish they would have those conversations. I don't know what they've discussed with Jaz as far as the weight loss and stuff, but when you do things like this, whether you decide you're on a natural weight loss journey, whether you're going to get the surgery, whether you're going to do shots, you have to change your mindset about eating, how much you're eating, when you're eating, how many times you're eating, what it is that you're actually like eating, the portions. Are you eating enough protein? Are you getting enough veggies, fruits, not eating candy, chips, and all of those kind of things? You have to be very mindful. And when you do have snacks and candies and sweets, you got to be mindful of what those are, because there are good alternatives out there. You have to change your mindset. I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that. So, her friend understood, and her friend asked her a valid question, like, is it a thing of jealousy? And Nisha had to think about it, and I think it's just what she said was a very poignant point, and I think that people don't get that when you look at someone who's fat and they go on a journey of weight loss, becoming more healthy, you don't know who you're going to be. She was like, if I lose weight, who am I going to be? You will find yourself. You will start to discover yourself. You will start to find new interests, get back to old interests that you put down because your weight wouldn't allow you to participate or entertain them. You'll meet new people. You'll go new places. You'll have new experiences because you'll be able to fit into places you haven't been before, fit into clothes you haven't wore before, not have pain, not have the mental war that some of us have. Like we've seen Jaz have several mental wars going to the beach, at the pool, going to a restaurant, all of those things that you have going on when you're at a certain size where you might feel an insecurity about it. All of those things start to not resolve themselves, but they start to shift. And that's what happened. It is very scary. So I totally get her point. I was like, that was powerful for her to say, like, she didn't know who she was going to be if she loses the weight. And that is what's scary. And sometimes that is the thing that keeps people blocked when it comes to it. You don't know where you're going. I lost 10 pounds. I don't look any different, so I might as well eat what I want to eat. When you have to keep going so that you can actually get there. Jaz ended up ordering a bed from online. She was like, babe, we could have did that from the beginning. They called, I thought the boy's name was Joe. It's Joel, Jol, I think it is. Joe. Anywho, niche man, he comes over to help. He helps put the bed together. Jaz messed herself talking about when you taking Nisha on a date. Your friend should not have to ask your man when he's taking you on a date. And guess what Joel did? Ran back up in there. Oh, he said, I got to still finish. Let me get back to work. He didn't even want to answer that question. He didn't even want to answer that question, which said a lot to me and should have said a lot to Nisha. So they went to a girls' dinner. And they was having, a good female conversation. We're enjoying ourselves. And here was another where I said, Nisha's friend support, it be wavering. And I think it is a frustration because Niche isn't all the way there and wanting to lose her weight. Jaz is kind of there because she wasn't sort of doing things the way she was supposed to be doing them. I skipped something. Let me go back before I go to the dinner. She talked to the doctor. And she said, how you doing? She said, I'm okay, but I've been having more pain. And I'm hurting. And the doctor said, she said, well, how's your eating? And she said, I'm maybe eating one time a day. Can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You can't not eat. It defeats the purpose because your body is starting to then eat itself, which is what her doctor basically told her. She was like, first of all, there are supplements that Jaz is supposed to be taking, protein supplements, the other supplements that she's supposed to be taking that she's not. So her doctor's like, girl, I told you, you need to do all of the things. You need to be taking all of your supplements. You need to be making sure that you're eating. You need to make sure you're getting your protein in. Your muscles are going to break down. And you're going to get so bad if you keep in this route that eventually, even when you lose weight, you will not be able to walk. That would have scared me beyond understanding. If you're telling me that if what I keep doing now, if I continue to do it, I can still lose weight, but when I lose weight, I'm not going to be able to walk. Baby, the way I would have slammed them pills down my throat so fast and so quick. So we found out that Jaz is not doing what she's supposed to be doing now. And this is why I say I would love to see a therapy piece or conversations about the mindset piece, because it's hard to switch. It's hard to be an overeater, a snacker, an emotional eater, and then be in a situation where you're taking a medication that makes you not want to eat at all. To have pills you need to take on a regular basis that you're not taking. You have to follow the instructions to the T. When they say you can only eat these things, you only eat these things. When they say you got to take these pills, you got to take those pills. You do not have the luxury to just do what you want to do and how you want to do it. And for us to have this conversation with the doctor, and the doctor say, girl, I told you this was going to continue to happen. You want to be in pain? Because you can't be complaining about the pain and know the reason you have the pain, and you're not doing what's necessary for you to prevent the pain from happening. Your body is going to break down. It will. If you don't feed it, it will feed itself, and it will feed itself off of itself, breaking down your muscles. Hence why she got leg pain. Hence why she's hurting so bad. Jaz, holding your hand with a napkin, sis. Get it together. Get it together. Okay, I had to go back to that part because we did talk to the doctor to find out she wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing. So we get to this dinner. And like I said, Nisha kind of upset me because they're at the dinner and she was like looking at the menu and she was like, how much of it you going to eat? Or she not going to eat all of it, something like that. One, why did you have to say that at all? She's not supposed to be eating that much. You all are not supposed to be eating that much. And I felt like when they first had sat at that table and Jaz said, everybody, y'all make me a promise, don't get fat. And several of them were already fat, but not as fat as she is. They knew what she meant when she said that. Some of them kind of was like, hey, we're already there. No, what she's meaning is don't get to my size. Your mobility is limited. Things are going to happen. You're going to be in constant pain. It's going to be a breakdown. It's not worth it. Niche, I understand that you're upset with Jaz about whatever. You got to talk to her about that. Y'all got to work through that. You got to be more understanding about her situation. But that was wrong for you to say that in front of everybody. I felt some kind of way about that because if I was Jaz, I'd have been like, bitch, why the fuck would you say that in front of everybody? Y'all excuse my language, but that's what I would have said to her. And Nisha, I don't mean no offense, but I'm just saying, as my friend, if you and I were friends and we're at the table and you did that to me, that would have been my instant reaction. Not that it would have been right, but that would have been my instant reaction because, girl, why would you say that? Why would you say that? So they get to talking about her and Joel in this relationship, and she kind of playing it, to the left like it's not all that or whatever, and Jaz just over there rolling her eyes or whatever. They started talking about dating apps and using the dating app and, just getting into different relationships, not letting stuff keep you down. Now, y'all, the scariest thing happened. They was in an interview. Jaz and Nesha are in an interview. And Jaz, they're talking. And Jaz just goes blank, like, the producer comes and is like, Jaz, can you hear me? She was able to shake her head to say yes, but he was like, what's your name? She couldn't even say her name, y'all. She could not even say her name. Come to find out, she had low blood sugar. My mama's a diabetic, and I know low blood sugar is just as bad or is worse than high blood sugar. When I say that lady was, you can see her eyes was moving, but she couldn't. Eventually, she was able to tell them to get her. It was a drink she had, and she drank it, and she started to come back. But baby, when I tell y'all that was so freaking scary to see. It was so scary to see her. I thought she was having a stroke. It was really scary to see her like that. And what that says to me is you got to follow the instructions to the T. What they tell you, like I was saying, what they tell you to eat, what they tell you to drink, what they tell you not to eat, what they tell you not to drink. That was so scary. So she ends up telling her daughter that she has to go to the hospital and that she'll be back. And then that's where the episode ends. Really good episode. I love this show. Like, I love the girls. Their personalities are awesome. Beautiful girls. It's so layered because we got Nisha and her situation with her mom and with her man. You got Jaz and her daughter and her family, and the weight loss journey that's entwined with all of it. A really good show, really good episode. I know that some of the things, especially Granny getting on my nerves in the beginning about that daggone weight loss surgery, and the family was most likely, I'm assuming, for TV. I'm hoping it was for TV because if you're not, don't give me a hard time. I'm trying to improve my life. Don't do that. Y'all, I'm loving the 1,000 Pound Roomies. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. It's on TLC. It comes on Wednesdays at like 10 Eastern, 9 Central. I saw another show that I think I'm going to watch. What was that show? It was Match Me Abroad or something like that. But basically, like, these women are going to Ireland with a matchmaker to meet men. Like, they basically like, babe, I ain't had no luck in the U.S. I'm trying to find a man. I want to be soft. I want to live life. I want to be loved. And I think they over there. And so they going abroad to find their man and having a matchmaker help them do it. I think it's going to be interesting. It comes on this Sunday, I think it said. Apparently there have been more seasons of it, so I might go watch and just get a gist of a prior season. But I think I am. Y'all let me know. I think I'm going to review it and just talk about it because I'm a single woman. That's interesting to see what's happening, matchmaking. Maybe some tips I can apply to in the broad. It's a dating that might be interesting. So yeah, y'all tell me what y'all think about this episode of 1,000 Pound Roomies. Did you watch? Y'all tell me what y'all think about me reviewing Match Me Abroad. And y'all be sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified the next time I come to run my mouth. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, and share the video with somebody. They might want to hear me run my mouth about whatever. Okay, y'all. All of my socials are gonna be down in the description box, so y'all be sure to follow me there as well. My TikToks, my Instagram, my Facebooks, and all the things. And I'll be back soon, y'all. Bye.